say what you want about how messy and dirty this tank looks, because here's the thing, I agree with you. This tank does look aesthetically displeasing because of all the red and green bush algae all over the place. And the reason it's even there is because I choose to use hard water in this tank, which just so happens to contain all the nutrients that this particular type of algae loves to flourish off of. But I'm hesitant to change anything because I'm really eager to maintain homeostasis in this tank for one particular reason. Despite the aesthetic displeasing look of this tank, it functions incredibly well. And if you look around, here's why. There are neon yellow shrimp absolutely everywhere. And my camera's really not doing it justice here because there are several generations of shrimp in here. Sure, we've got the adults nomming on some food. We've got buried females over there. And it's kind of a double-edged sword here because I realize this algae is not particularly wonderful, but it does have one benefit, and that's the fact that it provides surface area for biofilm to grow on, which these little shrimp buddies just absolutely love biofilm. That's part of their main diet, aside from the supplemented veggie sticks that I feed them every day, because the population density in this tank is so darn high that if I don't supplement their diet, they'll die simply because there's not enough biofilm to go around. And if you look, there are a lot of babies. Now here's the thing, I have not counted them all because, dude, have you ever tried to count shrimp? It is freaking possible because most of the time they never stay still. Right now they're just chilling out, picking at stuff, just relaxing, which is good. When they first turn the lights on, they're very active because, hey, oh my god, light, where did that come from? But I've got these tiny little babies that my camera just won't focus on because they're tiny little babies. There we go. You know, these are recent hatchlings, okay, recent shrimplets, and we got recent shrimplet, less recent shrimplet, some less recent shrimplets, and then adult shrimps. You know, so I've got, I want to guess, in this 10-gallon tank alone, 150 to 200 neon yellow shrimp in here, if you include all the ages of the shrimp. So everything from hatchlings to full-blown adults. And the number is not decreasing. The number consistently continues to increase. So despite the fact that this airline tube, for instance, has just been covered in red bush algae, despite the fact that this sponge filter is covered in this nasty looking algae, I am very hesitant to change anything, because if there's one thing I've learned about these shrimp is that these shrimp don't like change. They like consistency. And it doesn't necessarily matter as much as you might think if your parameters are not exactly what some dude who made a page on a fish forum said these should be at. They prefer consistency over accuracy, meaning you don't have to be dead on to somebody's recommended specs for these guys to make them flourish, and this tank is proof of that. This tank's parameters are extremely outside or far away from the recommended parameters, and yet I am swimming in neon yellow shrimp. There's so many of them. And here's the thing, the density of the population generally doesn't get this high in the tank because I sell them after they reach a certain amount of adults. But at this point, the adults have just been breeding like crazy to the point where I am packed with shrimplets. By the time these guys reach adult age, I'm going to have far more stock than I will know what to do with, just involving the neon yellows. And that's an interesting conundrum, because I love having stock so I can sell, because there's a number of places that like to buy my stock. And clearly whatever I'm doing here is working, despite the fact, you know, we got bush algae. Which, once again, yeah, I agree. Bush algae looks really displeasing, but it doesn't seem to affect their health. At least not that I can see. Even my autosynclus is getting in on the food here. Hey, get out of there, Auto. Well, anywho. So, that's the thing. A tank can look really nasty to the naked eye, just to a bunch of people who don't or aren't familiar with your particular tank. And they'll say, oh my god, this tank looks terrible, somebody rescue those shrimp. But the reality is, if you test all the water parameters in this tank, they're going to check out as perfect. Because you don't get this many shrimp all over the place if your tank doesn't have water that's good. So, I'm stuck with the question of, do I medicate to get rid of the bush algae to make this tank look nice? Or do I maintain homeostasis? Do I maintain consistency, despite the fact that this type of algae is really annoying? Questions, questions, questions. And the fact of the matter is, there's just no good answers. Oh my goodness. But I will say this. Got a lot of neon yellow shrimp. Well, that's just my little blurb for today. Algae. Is it necessarily a bad thing? Not entirely, at least not that I can discern. But I'm sure someone in the comments is going to let me know.